Hi, I'm Gabriel, and this is Learning English Path. And in this lesson, I'm going to teach you the hero's journey, part 3, the refusal of the call. The refusal of the call is part 3 on this multi-part series on learning English with the hero's journey. In this series, we learn new idioms, new vocabulary, and new language represented by each stage of the hero's journey. So I highly recommend that if you haven't seen parts 1 and 2 yet, go back and watch those first, because in each lesson we do review the previous lesson's language. And when you're on this journey, you really need to know where you've come from in order to get where you're going. Right? That is the hero's journey after all. So part 1 is called The Ordinary World, and part 2 is called The Call to Adventure. Now in this lesson, we're looking at the refusal of the call. But before we get there, I just want to remind you that if you do like this lesson and if you are learning English, please give this lesson a like. Please give this video a like on YouTube so that more students can come and find this lesson. And subscribe to Learning English Path. When you hit that subscribe button, and more importantly, when you hit the bell next to the subscribe button, you will be notified of my next lessons so you can keep on track with your Learning English Path. Okay, that's what this is all about. I don't want you to get off track and have to start over, right? Okay, so with that in mind, let's review the last lesson, which was on the call to adventure. Okay, 3 questions for you. So, number 1. What kind of call do you get when you need to go to the bathroom? Okay, pause the video if you need. All right. The answer is the call of nature. Okay, you get the call of nature. If you need to go to the bathroom, you get the call of nature. All right. The next one is, what do you say when you are testing someone to see if they really mean what they are saying? Do they really mean what they are saying? So you think that maybe that person doesn't really mean that he's going to do that. So I'm going to what? Okay, the answer is to call someone's bluff. So I'm going to call his bluff. All right? Again, if you don't remember what that means, go back to the last lesson and listen to that again. Okay, the last review question here is it's worth 5 points, actually. Okay, because there are 5 answers. And that is, how might you feel when you receive that call to adventure? Okay, you get the call to adventure. What are 5 adjectives that might describe how you feel when you get the call to adventure? Okay, pause the video if you need now. Okay. So, if you don't remember, again, maybe go back to the last lesson. All right? The words are exhilarated, compelled, torn, divided, and hesitant. All right. So if you don't remember the meanings, go back, have a watch again for the second time. All right. Now, what is this stage? Stage 3, the refusal of the call. If you refuse a call, that just means you say no. Okay, you say no to the call to adventure. Now you might think, well, why would the heroes say no? Right? Don't they want to have an adventure? And then you might say, well, that's just a hero who's not very brave, right? So you should always accept the call to adventure. And you might even think, well, I would accept the call to adventure. But actually, there's a little bit more to it than that. Okay? So, in your own life, I bet that you can think of at least one time where you've refused the call to adventure. Have you got one? If you say no, that you always go with adventure, maybe you're always very adventurous and brave yourself, I would still say every day you refuse calls to adventure. Because there are so many different adventures to go on that we can't go on all of them. Right? You decide which adventures to go on. And I certainly don't advocate accepting every call to adventure, because that would be foolish, right? What I advocate doing is being intelligent in accepting your calls to adventure. So you need to choose wisely. For example, let's say that you are a woman and a man comes to you and you don't know this man and proposes marriage to you. Well, that would certainly be an adventure, right? Marriage itself is a huge adventure, and all the more so if you don't know who the person is. So shouldn't you accept the call? Well, of course not, right? Because that would mean that you might not be able to get married to a better man later on. Maybe you will meet a better husband later on in life, right? So if you say no to this man, then that leaves you open to go on a better adventure later, right? So you are choosing your adventure. You are choosing wisely. Yes or no will lead you down two separate paths. And let's have another example. Let's say that you are a university student and tomorrow you have a big test. So you could spend your time studying for that test for tomorrow. Or you could go on a date with this girl that you know, and that could be an adventure in itself, right? Or also your friend has asked you to come help him to decorate his new bedroom with him, right? Because he needs help. So you have three options there. Study for the test, go on a date with a girl you like, or help your friend. And each one is an adventure. Remember, adventure can be defined in many different ways because you create your own adventure in life. right? An adventure isn't something that is there and you can go for it or not. Whatever you do, you can create out of that experience an adventure. Okay? An adventure is defined by what you do with your life and how you create the experience that you have. You can create an adventure out of anything, right? So you have three options here: to create this adventure, create that adventure, or to create the adventure with your friend. In order to accept the call to adventure, in one of those experiences, you need to refuse the call to adventure in two of them, right? So accepting the call to adventure is a matter of prioritizing. You need to prioritize which adventures you go on. Okay? Which adventures you create. Because an adventure is created by you. So, do you create an adventure here, or do you not create an adventure here? This is the question, right? So, you may want to say no. Heroes say no to certain adventures all the time. If there's a better adventure to be had, if there is a more important adventure to be had, then the hero will say no to a kind of adventure. So what I'm going to do in this lesson is teach you 20 ways of saying no. 20 ways of refusing the call to adventure. Okay? And these are mostly informal ways. All right? I might do another lesson in the future which tells you how to say no in a more formal situation. For example, in a business situation, how to politely say no to an opportunity for adventure. But in this lesson, we're just going to look at informal ways, okay? So, number 1, nope. Just as simple as that. Nope. Okay, the next one. Nah. Nah. Right. The next one. No way. This means definitely not. No way. And then you can extend that to say, no way, Jose. And this is only in America. And interestingly, when I was a kid, I was taught that this was rude. So in some areas in America, it may be considered to be a rude phrase. Okay, you don't want to offend someone whose name is Jose. That's what I was taught. When I was a kid, I was taught that by my parents. But I've found that a lot of people use this and they're not too worried about offending people. But you just might want to keep that in mind, that some people may consider it to be rude. Okay? No way, Jose. The next one is to say no to an adventure, to refuse the call to adventure, is to turn it down. Okay, so you turn down the opportunity. Just like you could turn down a job or turn down a person who wants to go out with you. Okay, you can turn something down. Another one is you can turn it away. Or you can turn your back on something. So you can turn your back on the call to adventure. Or you can turn away from the call to adventure. Another one is you can pass it up, or you can give it a pass. You can pass on something. So this word pass, you can use it in different ways to say that you are not going to accept that call to adventure. So you can say, I pass, or I'm going to pass on that, or pass up the opportunity. The next one is if you are in the military, especially in the American army or the American military, they often will say no by saying negative. Just negative. So if you're being asked a yes or no question in the military, yes would be affirmative and no would be negative. Okay? So just you can also say this now. It's kind of crept into a little bit more of a daily conversation way of using this word. So if you're feeling in a slightly formal way, in a formal mood, you can say negative. Okay? The next one. Now this is a very forceful, very kind of definite, absolute way of saying no. This is not on your life. Not on your life. So that's like saying, you can bet your life that I'm not doing that. Okay, not on your life. And there's a British phrase that says, not on your Nelly. Okay, so if you're going to the UK, you might say this, not on your Nelly. I'm not doing that. Not on your Nelly. Okay. And another way of saying it in a very forceful way is not in a million years. So I won't do that even in a million years. Okay. Try not to take this one so literally, but it's a very forceful, emphatic way of saying no. Not in a million years, right? And the next one is not for all the tea in China. Not for all the tea in China. So that's saying, you could not make me do that, even if you were to offer me all the tea in China. And there's a lot of tea in China. And I could make a lot of money on all that tea, right? But I wouldn't do that even if you gave me all the tea in China. Sometimes you might even say, not for all the gold in the world, or not for all the money in the world. Okay, again, don't take it literally, but it just means you're not getting me to do that. One more emphatic one is, hell no. Hell no. This is a very informal way of saying definitely not, okay? Hell no. The next one. Now, these next ones are when you want to let someone down gently. So if someone, for example, asks if you will go out with them on a date, you might want to say no, but you don't want to hurt their feelings. So you might kind of say something else instead. So one thing you might say is, maybe next time. Maybe next time. Now, it might actually mean that you want to do it next time, that you want to go on this adventure next time. But it might really mean that you don't have any interest in that, and you're just saying that to kind of get to another point, drop that point, okay? Maybe next time. Another one similar to that is another time, or another time perhaps. Okay, another time. meaning not now. And another one similar to that is thanks, but no thanks. Thanks, but no thanks, meaning thank you for giving me the choice, but no thank you, I don't want to do that. Thanks, but no thanks. The next one is I can't. And that's not giving a reason. And maybe you actually can, but you just don't want to. So you say, I can't. All right? And an extension to that is, I can't make it. Or I can't make it this time. All right? And a similar one to that is, I'd love to, but I can't. Which really means it's a polite way of saying no thank you. Again, right? It's saying I'd love to, meaning it sounds nice, but I can't, but I don't want to, okay? It might actually mean that you can, but sometimes it doesn't. You have to know the context in order to make that determination. And then the last one that I'm going to give you is, I don't think so. I don't think so. Meaning, no. Okay, I don't think so. So again, remember, the refusal of the call is not necessarily a bad thing. It can be the smart decision, but maybe it's the wrong decision. You really don't know. Sometimes we really don't know whether it's smart to say yes or smart to say no. So in this situation, the hero on the journey has said no, but there might be more of the adventure to come, right? So, for example, Joe and Jane sitting in that classroom. Do you remember from the previous lesson? Jane asks Joe if they should go into the next classroom because they hear English, right? They hear the English language in the next classroom. And Jane says, do you want to make a run for it? And Joe says, it's your call, meaning you decide, right? Now Jane, this time, she refuses the call to adventure. And they both do. They refuse the call. So maybe she says, no way. Or maybe she says another time, right? They pass it up. They pass up the call to adventure this time. But that might not be it. So keep watching this series because next week the hero's journey continues with part 4. Keep learning, my friend, and keep going.